You doing good?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
What's your necklace?
My necklace is it's a tarot card. It's the Magician.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you can see
Neat.
it. Can you see?
Yeah,
I just got it in Asheville last week.
hi, Nicole. Yes, we're over here.
Sorry, I was closing up all my stuff. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Looks like
Good.
we're gonna have a small group here, so get all your questions ready.
Okay. All right.
I see Holly. How are you, Holly?
Doing okay. Okay. Um, kind of had the day off, so I've been thinking about what to bring to the group and kind of get into the headspace of being here.
Great. You got anything?
Actually, I did have a clarification question. I posted something to the group last week about being left and right-handed and how that may actually play into the context in the book, like whether someone is more leaning into a masculine energy or if their shadow side is more feminine and they're not acknowledging aspects of that.
Okay, so what's your question?
So if someone, let's say if someone were left-handed, but they present as extremely masculine, or they were right-handed and they present as extremely feminine, is that kind of an indicator of something in your experience, or is that something that you've noticed at all?
I think most of the time what I see is that um, it's less about their dominant hand and more about the their internal relationship with the masculine or feminine. One thing I have seen, um, it's not like a causation, um, but because the right side correlates with the left hemisphere and the left side with the right hemisphere, there are certain, I guess you could say, predispositions based on how much of that way of being you're used to. Um, so, is there a possible correlation between how heady and ego and masculine yang dominated our cultures have been, and how a majority of us have been taught that the right hand is better than the left hand? Um, you could perhaps make a correlation there. I'm not going to say that. I don't know anything definitive. Um, but what I've seen more than anything is a person's parents' relationship come through their hands. So the mother is going to show up on the yin side, and the father is going to show up on the yang side. That overwhelmingly is completely verifiable for me, and I think there's a certain more in it in someone's dominant hand. But I think that's just like the whole body. If people aren't in their feet or their legs, they don't have the same access to it as they do something that they're doing all the time, which is probably correlated to the neural pathways that are formed. So, my experience has been more around those things. There has there has been slight correlations of, let's say, people that have been very creative, left-handed, and then their parents force them to be right-handed, and that does have an effect. But that feels more correlated to the qualities of the yin, of the feminine or the masculine, rather than like a sexual orientation or something like that.
Okay. Thank you. That does clarify.
Yeah, did you? I posted that video. I'm not sure if I answered it in that replay. Did you watch it that I posted?
Yeah. It has some aspects of it, but I wasn't sure about like the left or right hand
Got it.
dominance being a part of that. So yes and no.
Sure.
So,
Okay, great.
yeah. Thank you.
Hi, David. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. Sorry for being late.
Well, it's good you're here. Anything you'd like to share?
No, I did see the meditation. I didn't watch all of it, but I thought I found it very interesting. Um, the whole focus on duality.
Mm.
Yeah, that was something that really resonated for me. It's something that I've always kind of been drawn to, that in particular.
Were you able to do the meditation part or no?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, what was your experience?
To tell you the truth, I kind of do similar things in my own experience.
Great.
Um, but I felt like a kind of more like expansive, just lighter in general. I mean, that's, when I do these meditations, that's generally how I feel, just like more open, and like just, like my consciousness is just wider, I guess.
Sure.
Um, go beyond my own problems and things like that.
Great. Any questions or anything you would like to talk about?
One thing that that I've been kind of contemplating, as far as your book, I really focus on like the first part, trying to deal with all the stories and all that, the removal of those aspects, because as you said, we are good as we are. It's more a question of subtracting. So I really been focusing on that part. And I have to tell you the truth, I tried to focus on kind of like the moving forward part of it. The thing that I'm kind of confused on is, I mean, I understand that, stories and archetypes are all necessary, moving forward. So I just don't know, just how do you make sure that that new story or archetype is embodied, or is something that you're really like that fits for you as well, or is it something that is just like natural that just you come up on? I'm thinking of things like the hero's journey and like the peaceful warrior or whatever that's called, things like that.
Do you have anything specific? We got a small group and a lot of time. If you want, we can do some work. We can play here if you'd like.
Sure. It's more, I think it's mostly about the vision, it just, I feel like it's always been a weakness in my life, is just trying to figure out what to do, and I've always felt like I've been weak at that, and I just want to make sure that I'm not just falling back into like past traps,
Great.
um,
Would you like to do some cinesomatics?
sure.
Great. Well, let's have you stand up. This is one of the benefits of having an intimate group, that let's just play around. All right, and this is your first time, right? We haven't worked together. Yeah.
Although I
Right.
want to, for sure.
All right, so what we're gonna do, let me see, how do we want to do this? Well, I'm gonna do this just in case. All right. Okay, so let's have you bring your monitor down a little bit and have you scoot back. All right, bring it down a little bit more. Okay, perfect. All right, what I want you to do is just within the space here, just remaining on camera, I want you to just look around the room and connect to the space around you. And you can move throughout the space as well. Just have you bring your camera up a little bit, please. Your head's getting cut off. Great, perfect. Yeah, so just move around the space and just look and connect and okay, so is it okay if I give you feedback?
Of course.
Yep. All right. So one of the things that I'm feeling is it feels almost like you're backing up. So it feels like you're moving away rather than towards. There feels like a lot of constraint as well. The movement it feels like you're pulling back from the space. So let's try this. I want you to do it again, but this time I want you to feel like you're going towards the space. See what that feels like.
Sure.
Yep. So use the whole space. Is this your home? Is this where you live?
Not all the time. Half the time. I'm in the process of I'm separated right now.
Okay.
So
But
this,
how long have you part of the time lived here? You can come sit down for now.
yeah, I've been here for about 6 years. So this is like this was my office basically.
You just said, I'm sorry, I was fixing this. You said 6 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the feeling is that it's not your space. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So first, I just want to appreciate your courage to do this in a group for the first time, not knowing you're going to do it. So thank you for your willingness and your courage to do something like this. So thank you for that. Yeah, there's it feels like you're bound. Yeah, the overall mythology feels bound. You're contracted. Your steps. It kind of feels like you got like ankle cuffs on your feet. Your hands are just locked. Your whole arms are shut down. They're not engaged with the space in any way. I saw you were looking at the space. You were aware of the space, but there wasn't a sense of ownership. So it was like you didn't have permission to take up the whole space. It felt like you were just like you just weren't allowed. So what do you hear in this so far?
I think overall it's pretty accurate, everything you're saying. I would say like the constraint is not necessarily the space, but I think it's more like just the, you know, just like the, my nervousness I normally have in group settings. That's just my interpretation, but I might be wrong. As far as like the ownership part, even though, technically it is my house, I guess I don't feel like it really is mine anymore. Maybe that might be part of it. But it definitely was one of the places where I felt the most comfortable. But I think that's changed now.
Okay. So how does these few bits of feedback, how do they show up in your life?
I think that's what you're saying. It kind of also reflects kind of like my avoidant tendencies, not wanting to face things like fully instead of like embracing and just meeting the challenge. I'm always kind of like stepping back or not really.
Okay, yeah, that's that moving away from stepping back I was feeling. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, but it's something I'm very conscious of. So, and I think in different situations, I am better, but there is just still the kind of the social and group part that I know that I need more work on, or I need to understand that better.
Okay. And what about going forward in your life? Do you feel stuck, or do you feel like you're full steam ahead, having everything you want?
Um, Not full steam forward, but I do feel like just in comparison, I'm a lot better. I mean, I think as far, like I said, I think the biggest problem I have is just the vision part of it, and I'm trying to, you know, just moving forward in general, but even though I don't feel like, I feel like I'm more myself than I ever was, basically.
Great.
Well,
Yeah. All right. So, anybody else have anything to share? I know. Hi, Megan. Nice to meet you. You came in a little late, and we're in the middle of something. So we'll catch you up to speed as we go. I know Hannah and Elaine, you've done this work. Nicole, you're also welcome to share anything. Anything that you guys saw. Just report the details. You don't have to, but you're welcome to.
In his movements is
Yes. Yep.
yes. Yeah, I felt that he was very bound, like you were saying. I wasn't sure if it was, being almost unsure of the space or scared or, but I did notice that.
Okay. Great. Anything you'd like to share, Hannah?
Yeah. It felt like after you guided him to try moving forward instead of backward, there was like a little bit of forward, but it's still kind of like maybe half of it still felt a bit like backward. But then there was one moment when you went over to the side and like grabbed something, and it actually felt really good. Like
He showed up for it, yeah.
yeah, it was a little wobbly, but it was like something like stirred within me, like, oh, he's grabbing it.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah, it felt different than everything else because
Uh-huh.
so he activated a whole other half of his being. Yeah. And picking up something, there's a some level of ownership. Yeah. Anything else? That's great.
Um, yeah, I had some other kind of thoughts and other things come up, but yeah, that's it for
In regards to his movement?
um I was no, about my own relationship to this work. So,
But is it related to what he just did? Like what he just did it bring up something for you?
no, I think it's a little bit different topic.
Okay.
So,
All right, great. We'll do that after. Let's see. This is a new little thing. I don't know how to. Okay. Now how do we make you go away? I don't know. All right. First time I do use that. All right. So if it was related to what he did, right? So if you were watching him move and all of a sudden it brought something up for you, that would be appropriate to share because there's a resonance there and he can move you forward, right, in a way, and you can move him forward. Even if it may not sound the same, if it was brought up about a similar thing that was going on, then that would be appropriate to share. Just to share how that works. All right, David, you want to give it another try, and I'll give you some feedback, and you can implement it as you go.
Sure.
Okay. All right, and are you able to move your laptop or camera further away from you? Like, yeah. Great. All right, so now let's try this. I want you to go to the right side of the room. Just go all the way to that side. Yep. All right, now I want you to face, what is that, a printer on the other side of the room or something?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Now, I want you to imagine you are on a mission and you will easily achieve your mission. And that mission is to go over and grab that printer.
Just imagine.
Well, no, but do it. But feel that way as you do it. Great. Put it down. Yep. Now I want you to face the printer still, but I want you to walk backwards to the other side. Okay. All right. I want you to feel you're coming out of your neck. So this neck in the back of you is your masculine energy. And so there's a huge leak of yang, of masculine energy. So I want you to put your hand on the back of your neck. Yep. And so I just want you to touch it a bit, just feel it, pat it, tap it. Okay, put it down. And I want you to bring your neck back while looking forward. So don't tilt your head back. Bring your neck back. Here, watch me. Right? So you're kind of doing this. So don't do this. Do this. Yeah. So what do you guys immediately see different when he does that?
Stronger.
Stronger.
Confident.
Yeah. So you're abandoning your power, David. You know, there's a part of you that's out of relationship with this powerful, strong, masculine force. Sound familiar at all?
I would say that's definitely something I'm aware of.
Yeah. All right. So now go back there. And so let's have you bring your neck back again, like you just did. And keep your head eye level. So you're kind of bringing your chin up. Yeah, there you go. Feel the back of your neck. Just bring your attention there. Now I want you to go to that printer again with that same drive, that determination. You have a mission, and it's no problem. Good. Walk backwards. Feel the back of your neck as you do it. All right, now do that again. This time, go twice as fast, twice as strong. Great. Okay, now I want, in this same energy, I want you to connect with the room in this same way. Feel the back of your neck, bring it back. Yeah, good. Now maintain that and just connect to the space and own it, right? Imagine and feel this is your space. At least right now in this moment, you are the master of this domain. Yeah, so go toward stuff. You kind of feel like you're sidestepping and backpedaling. Just only move forward. Try that. Even turning, make sure your turn is just moving forward. Feel the back of your neck. Yep. And I want you to keep moving without stopping. Just keep moving forward. Okay, good. All right, come sit down. All right, so what was your experience? What did you feel this time that was different?
In general, I think I just felt more connected to the space. Previously I felt like I was just more in my head, I guess. I think less, I didn't feel as jittery.
Any stories come up? Any feelings?
Can't say many that I could remember at this point.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, you felt very different by the end of it than you did in the beginning. So remember, how you do one thing's how you do everything. So even if you're a little nervous here doing in front of a group, well, that shows us that you let other people make you smaller, make you nervous, right? So even if, let's say you were by yourself, you would do this differently. Okay, that's fair. And still, it's also showing how you allow other people to influence you. Because that nervousness, at least, really was binding you. It's really slowing you down. And yeah, there's this overall sense of, it feels like a reaction formation to a masculine energy. So was this a father, a brother, in military? What's this masculine energy that you're reacting to?
I would have to say it's probably my father. He, he really wasn't, he worked a lot. Usually had multiple jobs, so he really wasn't present a whole lot. But he was, as far as like personality wise, like just 360 or just completely opposite of like me and my mom. He was just very aggressive and just loud and kind of like
Yeah.
insensitive, and like I'm pretty much the opposite of that.
Yeah, exactly. So part of that is probably your natural temperament, and there is a part of it that is reacting to what you probably as a kid and your mom being like, wow, that's so aggressive. The issue with that is that the baby is out with the bathwater kind of thing. And so what you want to do is get into relationship with kind of like, I think last time we talked about like, what happens if I'm mean? What happens if I'm a bad person? What if that's my true self? Or how it can feel like being mean, but we're actually loving ourselves and enforcing boundaries. There's a whole set of these masculine energies for you that have been judged, that you've had trauma through, that don't feel safe to you. And so that was the other feeling I was feeling as you were owning it. It felt really good for you to just do that compared to kind of just this like really bound man. And at the same time, there was a certain sense of like you didn't know if that was okay. Like it didn't feel like, oh yeah, this feels great. It was kind of like, is this okay? I mean, it feels pretty, it's like twice as fast as I normally walk. So what are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Um, it's yeah, I mean, it's just something that I feel like I haven't been able to get past. It's something even though I'm aware of it and like uh, I'm not sure exactly how to. Um, I'm not really fully like consciously aware of stories or things that pop up in regards to that. So I mean, I'm just trying to think of past incidents or things like that. But
Yeah, it would make sense that you're not, because there's a whole value and judgment system to kind of filter those things out. And so it's like you probably at some level we're like, well, how do I live a life not being like my dad, right? I'm sure there's a way I can live and not have to be aggressive and loud and obnoxious or controlling or whatever it was. Yes, and you're also out of relationship with those resources. So right now for you, there's this masculine yang energy that's shadow material. Whether it was done to you or your judgment of it or however it happened, there's these things that are shadow aspects. It doesn't mean they're bad or wrong or they're evil or they're have to be mega traumatic, but it's stuff that you've at some point your ego has said, we don't need that, let's throw it away. But everything serves, even what doesn't, right? From the book. Everything serves, even what doesn't. Even an aggressive, loud, controlling, domineering masculine energy, there's something in that that serves. And when we, and I've done this in my own way, abandon that, betray it, because we're out of relationship with it, we lose all of those resources that are locked up in it. And so why I did this exercise is because this is related to your vision. It looks like there's a certain worthiness or safety or trust or permission to let yourself go into that vision. You're not completely shut off, right? You don't feel totally blind, but you feel very, very repressed or suppressed. It doesn't feel like you have all of this space and openness and permission to just play. What's my vision? Well, I can imagine that. Maybe this or that. Like, I just had like 5 more visions in a second than I saw you up there. And so it's like, what is that freeingness? What is preventing you from that sense of freedom to have visions? So that's at play. And then what we're seeing here too that leads up to that is your ability to actually manifest that, to actually own that vision, own the space, because you can't manifest a vision if you don't feel like you own it and you can own the space. Now, it's different than being domineering of the space. It's a sense of, this is mine. Why do we want to do that? As I say in the book, because when you can take responsibility, right? I talk about ownership. I talk about responsibility. Let me see if I can find it. Responsibility as a sense of stewardship and ownership. Okay, so above all else, page 382. When you understand that taking responsibility is a benefit for you rather than a sort of self-incrimination, you will free yourself from the need. Being responsible doesn't, I'm just skipping to what's relevant here. Being responsible doesn't mean you caused it. It means you own what happened. Absolute freedom requires absolute responsibility. So this is about ownership of your vision, ownership of the space, ownership of yourself, ownership of your circumstances. How much freedom and power do you have over your circumstances? If we had no power doing it, we surely don't have any power to undo it. So this is kind of written from the antidote to victim mentality. The more you own what happens in your life, the more of your life you own rather than it owning you. So a little bit more about that victim mentality, but still that essence of you can't do anything about it unless it's yours. So if it's somebody else's vision, if it's somebody else's space, if it's somebody else's earth and world, oh, I can't do that. Oh, no. Right? It's this whole like, oh, who am I? Or I'm not allowed, or oh, I have to wait, or blah, right? All of these things start coming up. But if it's like, no, this is my home, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to it. And so once you have that ownership, then there's stewardship, right? Then there's being a leader. Then there's being a father. Then there's being a husband. Then there's being a grandparent. Then there's being a leader, a business owner, president, whatever it is that the more ownership you have, the more of the space that you can affect, right? The president of the United States can affect more people than probably you and I can right now in this moment. Maybe that'll change differently or whatever, but you get the analogy, right? When you take that much ownership, for better or for worse, what we're doing here is hopefully for better, you have more ability to enact your vision into the space. And so part of this work is to get that ownership to you here in this level, and then become more functional and increase the level of responsibility you take on, energetically embodied in your body, which then translates to how much ownership of life and the space that you can take on. So, for example, there was no law that says only a certain person could be allowed to take us to Mars, right? So Elon Musk, a person, right? Well, very successful person, right? He has a vision of humans being an interplanetary species. Now, you can like him, you can hate him, doesn't matter. He has a vision, and he's going towards it. Whether it happens or not, we don't know, but he is owning it so much. He has fucking rockets, all right? So he has rockets that work and go into space and come back. That's more than 99.99999% of anybody else has done to manifesting that vision. So the ability to manifest, the ability to actually create that vision into the world requires us to take responsibility for that vision. Because if we say, well, I want to go to Mars, and then you just wait around for someone else to do it, it could work. But chances are it's going to take a lot longer, or whatever it is, just as an example. So what are you hearing?
I think you're spot on. In general, I've always felt a deep sense of responsibility for like my life and my actions. But like you said, I don't think it's possible to actually take responsibility unless you really own it. Maybe that's really my problem. As much as I think I do, I really don't.
How many people are you responsible for?
I have 2 kids,
Okay.
and I guess also my mom is having some health issues, so I'm helping out as well. Yeah.
Okay. And so what's one of your visions for your life?
Maybe have my own business eventually in the future, so I don't have to work for someone.
Notice you said maybe. That's not a vision, that's a hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of a certain self-worth and stuff here. But we're gonna get some feedback from other folks here. Is this helpful for you so far?
It is. I mean, it's something honestly that I was looking for. Anyways, it was one of the things that was driving me to be part of these discussions.
Yeah, we'll have I'll be having another program that's a paid program where we'll actually be doing more of this kind of stuff. But because we had such a small group here, and I thought maybe it would be helpful to kind of bring you out of hiding a little bit in a smaller group. I was glad you were willing to do this. So keep in mind, this is the first time, so this isn't necessarily, all right, we're going to fix all your problems in half an hour kind of thing. But at least you got some feedback. At least you can see that you can just make a few simple choices in how you show up in your own body that can make a complete difference in how you move through the space. Because how you move through the space is how you move through your life. Yeah, and it's all up to you. It's your choice.
And I'm very thankful and grateful.
You're welcome. Anybody got any feedback? Anything that you'd like to share or that you saw happen? Any differences from before and after?
I just wanted to say thank you. It was nice to see someone else do it and see the feedback and,
Yeah, that's the
it's
first
good
time
for
you've seen somebody else, right? Yeah.
Yes. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'd like to say good on you, David. That must be daunting to be in everyone's sort of vision. One thing I noticed that struck me when you were walking around towards the end, your right side was held quite rigidly. So your left arm, I think it was, unless I'm doing a mirror, your left arm, the feminine side, was swinging, but the right arm was quite still and stiff, which kind of, to me, speaks of that held in or held in masculinity. Because I know myself, there's a lot of asymmetry in my body, the feminine and the masculine, that corresponds to my issues, my shit. So that was just something that I noticed. And right at the end there, when Andrew said about it's a hope, not a vision, I felt sadness. The way you're in your voice, I felt this real poignant sadness. So that's just my observations, but good on you for giving it a go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. That was great. We'll have you introduce yourself once everybody finishes here. And thank you for speaking up. That's great.
Yeah.
Nicole or Holly or Hannah, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I noticed that you were more fluid when you held your neck back and your head up higher, and it felt like you had more of a sense of purpose and a level of confidence that I didn't see when you were moving prior.
Holly, you said something really key there, a sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I felt that as well, just in general.
Yeah,
I actually got really excited for you when you were doing that.
And that's connected to what Hannah said the first time when you went over and picked up something, right? That was that sense of purpose. And then compare that to when you were just trying to have a vision or connect, right? You had no purpose. And so chicken or the egg or chicken, doesn't matter. As above, so below, but also as below, so above. So you can change your internal way of relating to things, and then it'll change how you show up in your body. Or you can change how you show up in your body, and it'll bring up or shift the internal stuff. Oftentimes it'll bring up a story or emotions, kind of like Megan said, that sadness, that certain constriction. And so everything that's inside your psychological or your emotional, your energetic constrictions manifests as these physical constrictions and patterns of behaving and moving in your body, which are, I promise you, in correlation to the results in your life. It is the single magic power of Cinesomatics, because how you do one thing's how you do anything. That's why I wrote this whole fucking long chapter on a universal approach. It was just like, all right, back to the Big Bang, here we go. But I really needed to establish the essence of as above, so below, because that is just absolutely foundational. If you don't get that, you'll be like, I'm just walking through the room, walking on a slack line, shaking my hands. What the hell? But when you can understand that and actually experience it and know it, it's like you just, everything opens up. You say like, oh my God, there's money in here. There's love, there's hate. Like, it's all here. And we got people walking the slack line, their whole life, comes out on the slack line, dancing, interacting with people. Yeah, it's just all of this information comes through. And at first it can be very, very, very confronting. Even years into it, it can be very confronting. But if you can see that the data and feedback and information and what you're seeing in your body is there to love you, is there to help you heal, is to help you have everything that you want, is to help you break the generational curses. It's to help you achieve your dreams. It's to help you serve your family and your community, to manifest what you want. You're like, oh, okay, this isn't just me seeing how shitty and awful and crappy I am. oh, now that I see not only what it is, but how it's showing up, and then we can use the body as the tool, oh, well, then I can change this, right? If it's all my choice, you know, there's a kind of bit of like, oh, he's saying it's my choice. He's saying this is all my fault. Maybe. Or I'm saying, oh, if I own all of this and realize it's just a choice, oh, I can change this. Oh, I actually have the power to completely turn everything in my life around. And that's what I did. Years ago, I was homeless. You know, transferring pennies from one bank account to another. And now it's very different. And it was mainly due to this process of saying, oh, this is what I thought making money was. This is what I thought a vision was. This is what I thought showing up in the space was. And once I saw it, it was really hard, really, really hard. But I couldn't deny that that's how I showed up in my body, and that was the results of my life, and that other people with the exact same instructions did something completely different. Oh, okay. So I know from my own experience of doing this, there's times where it hurts, it stings, it actually makes it feel more hopeless. But if you can, as I say in the book, oh gosh, what it is, true hope is the recognition that you can save yourself. And even in that saving yourself, surrendering to something greater than yourself is a certain paradox in that, is that you can get to a certain point, but you have to own that it's you. And if it's going to be, it's up to me kind of thing. And then once you kind of reach the limits of that and you're like, okay, I'm not a victim. No one's going to save me. It's up to me. Okay. Well, then that spiritual component comes in and you recognize, oh, well, it's all me. Oh, I can surrender to something greater than my ego, me. And then that's when magic really starts to happen. But what happens is a lot of people try to do that before the ownership and responsibility from victimhood. And then they're just like, oh, I'm just going to wait around. Jesus is coming. God's coming. Allah's coming. Buddha's going to pop out of the ground as a mushroom, whatever it is, right? The government's going to save me. Mom and dad's going to save me. They're going to change. You know, we're going to change political party, whatever it is. And in almost every instance, like, your life stays the same. And so you have to get into that self-empowerment phase, and then that leads you to a very empowered surrender phase. So little further down the line, but one of the booby traps is in thinking we're doing this all ourselves. And then that's the narcissism comes in. And then I talk about in the chapter, your life is not just about you, right? The spiritual path is failing you. So I wanted to address the immediate things that were going on for you, but I also wanted to paint this bigger picture of all of these different chapters and ideas and concepts in the book that play into this, even though it doesn't feel like it's like this thing right here, that if you kind of have that bigger picture, if you have a bigger vision and see how, oh, he's not just being mean, or I'm not just a piece of shit, or I'm not just a failure, or I'm not just forever bound by these stories. Oh, actually, oh, this is unfolding, right? And you're seeing my movement. I'm doing this movement on purpose, right? How this comes in and closes in. Oh, do it backwards, right? When wrong works. Oh, all of this feedback and data and information expands my field rather than contracts it. Hannah, do you want to talk about that?
Sure, I can share a little bit.
Wow, don't sound so enthusiastic.
Yeah, this piece has been something I've struggled with of just feeling like I'm getting told all these things that are wrong with me. And I think in my case, I had a certain degree of, I don't know if it was lack of self-awareness or really not wanting to see. So when a lot of this stuff was brought to my awareness with the feedback, I didn't have a response of like you, David, some of these things you're like, yeah, I feel that. I know that this is something I'm running. I didn't have that experience with a lot of things. Some things I did, but a lot of things it was just like news to me. And then something that also came up for me is just realizing how much I have not necessarily been given accurate feedback by the people around me in my life, or only being given the positive, not the constructive, whether that was out of wanting to stay on the sunny side of life, or they weren't able to see, you know, the other side. It's maybe some of each, but
Yeah, and the next phase for you is going to be all feedback is love. There's no such thing as positive or negative.
right, yeah,
That's fucking hard. Yeah.
yeah.
Anything you would like to share that you saw with David?
Um, I think oh yeah, I did speak earlier.
For a
Yeah,
second round? Yeah.
it felt very, very different when you brought your neck and your head back. The whole way that you moved, it was like you had a different body, the way when you straightened like that. So that was really cool to see. Um, and also every time that you smile, it is so lovely. And I I've noticed it last week when you were speaking, and then Andrew, I think was making you make funny faces or something, and you just broke into a smile, and it brought tears to my eyes. There was just so much beauty in you when you smile. So I just wanted to tell you that.
What are you hearing, David?
A lot easier to hear all this, I think. Definitely at the beginning it was very confronting, as you say. But now I think I could accept it a lot better and really try to embrace it. And
Specifically with what Hannah just said.
yeah, I would say that what others have said as far as how I move, and the thing about my neck. It's to tell you the truth, I've also noticed that, and I think that it seems to run in my family as well. So I don't know. Um,
So just as a one point, it's not just body language, right? So there's a whole psychological, energetic component to this. We're not just saying change your body language. It's something much deeper. Yeah.
yeah, and I've heard it a lot from other people. As far as like you being out of balance in regards to masculine and feminine energy. And I know that I'm out of balance in that regard. It's just a question of how to balance it out now, I guess.
Anything else from what Hannah shared?
Yeah, just going back to that moment from the last discussion. I mean, I pretty much shut down as far as just it was just very triggering for me. Um, just I get embarrassed easily, so that's once that happens, it's just hard for me to kind of recover, I guess. But just the fact that other people see it differently than I do is pretty awesome, I guess.
How did Hannah see it? differently than you. Are you guys seeing kind of what he's doing here? Nicole, you want to share what you're seeing?
It a little avoidance, I think,
Yeah.
of wanting to actually even talk about it.
Talk about what? So,
I feel like he might want to talk. I don't know.
okay.
I guess just my positive aspects are, what people find beautiful or
Yeah, so what do you feel being seen beautiful?
it's nice.
Yeah. And uncomfortable too, right? Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah, being looked upon with eyes of love. It's like what we all want, and yet for some reason it's so uncomfortable sometimes. We spend our whole life pushing it away, or being told we're not, or being exploited for it, or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just so neat because you're such a lovable person who doesn't own it, and so you're just gonna, you don't have to, but be great if you want to own how lovable you are. It'll make your life a lot easier. Whenever you're ready. I mean, it only took me 30 years, so.
it's huge.
All right. Megan, anything?
I'm just so glad you said the word beautiful, David. I got all teary here, but I was cheering you on. I was saying, say it, fucking say it, own it. And you did. So good on you.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how we can all feel that avoidance of him going into that beauty and owning it? Yeah. So this
I
stuff times about
done it.
10,000 is what we're all doing all of the time. And when we're interacting with people, subconsciously, we're all picking it up and we have no idea what's going on. And when you start doing this work, the cinesomatics, you start seeing this stuff consciously and you start being able to see, oh my God. But yeah, it was a wonderful example of something that was so there for him, something without agenda, without manipulation, without attachment, and it took a little wiggling, but you got there, David, and it just shows, right, your relationship with beauty and beauty in yourself. And as you get into more relationship with that, you're going to be more comfortable and you're going to shine that brighter. And it's going to be a gift for all of us. If you want to, you don't have to. But I imagine you're here because that might be something you want.
Certainly do.
Yeah, great. All right, so let's close out with Megan. Welcome to the group.
Oh, I thought we were closing. Yes,
Yeah.
hello, everyone. Very nice to be here. Sorry I was late. I couldn't log in. I couldn't figure it out. Is that it? Do I have to say more?
Yeah. How did you find me? And have you read the book? And
Yes, I've read the book quite a number of times in its entirety, front to back, and then also piecemeal. And it blew my mind the first time I read it because I've been trying to fix myself since I was probably 16. Self-help expert, and I'm 52 now, and I'm still not fixed. So it's and I couldn't understand it, because I invested tremendous amounts of energy, time, analysis, thinking. All my I don't know, all the attributes that I have were directed to trying to fix me, and yet it just wasn't happening. And the last sort of years, it was this real sense of almost doing it automatically, still wanting to be fixed, whatever that was, as if my life would begin when I fixed myself, and yet it not happening. And the way I used to describe it is, I have this tremendous accelerator that I'm bearing down on, because I know I have potential. I've certainly fulfilled certain potential, only to sabotage it like the very next second, blow it out of the water. So there's this accelerator that wants to go forward, and then simultaneously this massive brake that even though I invest all this time and effort into self-help, just to use a shorthand for it, I'm actually not getting. Sure, there's progress, sure, there's insight and awareness, but that fundamental change that I'm looking for, which I, sort of lost track of almost, I couldn't do. So when I read your book, like the first time, it was kind of, I get it, but not. And then I just kept drilling into it, and it was like, holy fuck, this is sorry, the words, I swear a lot.
Oh, please.
This and the thing is, it's like, I'm fucking 52 years old. Life has flown by. Like, I can't, all of you look sort of younger than me. It goes so damn quickly, and this is not, I thought I'd be fixed by now, and that sounds stupid to say, but I thought I'd be living the life that I was meant to be living by now, because I have some good ideas that I want to make happen. But it's like this massive break, and I've used a whole manner of accelerator versus brake. Addiction is my big biggest break of all, in terms of stopping me, because it allows me to avoid responsibility. Fundamentally, staying an addict allows me to be irresponsible, and I say, I can't stop using. So essentially, I wasn't addicted to heroin for 10 years in my 20s. Then I was clean and sober.
Around, do you?
That I was clean
That
and
full
sober
on that accelerator.
12 years, and then I relapsed and went back to heroin and methamphetamine, and I'm now doing that for 10 years. So, pretty massive breaks, and even through all that, the accelerator's pushing, and I'm still, achieving bits and pieces here and there. But whilever I remain addicted, it's my avoidance of life, because fundamentally, God knows I've tried. I can't be addicted and live a functional, fulfilled life. It's not me. My soul knows that's not the case. So sorry, I feel like I'm rambling on at length, but yes. And so how I found this, I don't even know how I found this group. I think I was just, I was going to do the Cinematics voiceover thing that you did. You sent an audio, like that audio thing that, and I never quite got around to doing, yes, but I found this. So I thought, I'm fucking determined. This is my opportunity. Like, how lucky it is that this is happening. So yeah, here I am.
Great. And how did you say you found the book?
The book I found on Scribd. Scribd is an app that has lots and lots of books, and it was an audio book, and the title resonated. The start. I thought, oh, this is my solution. Yet another solution after all the hundreds of other solutions.
Yeah.
And so I listened to it, and I remember, like, when the penny sank, I do a lot of driving, and so I was driving, and I swear I nearly rode up the guy's ass in front of me, because it was just this moment of, oh my God, this is it. So I'm very grateful you wrote the book.
Well, thank you so much. It sounds like everything I kept hearing was the chapter "Stop Fixing and Start Living."
Yeah.
You probably loved it and pissed you off. Yeah, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know what? I'm so sick of this. No, it doesn't piss me off. I'm
Great.
Like legit sick of this. This is just such a waste. It's such a waste. I've done this to death. I know how to do self-help. I don't know how to live.
Well, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you. Thank you for sharing your story, and for popping up in jumping right in the fire.
Thank you.
Great. Any final closing words? Anybody?
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate everything you said. It was
Thank you.
felt really honest, you know,
Oh, yeah.
so that's good.
That's a good reference point for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Your honesty is very refreshing, and how down to earth you are and ready to do the work. And it definitely resonated with a lot of your story too. I'm not addicted per se, but I have some things that are difficult to keep, to get into life as much as I'd like to. So
We've all got them, eh? Addiction's just one particular flavor of the ice cream.
Yeah.
There's lots of other flavors.
And I've
Thank you.
often
You're saying
wondered on addictions, I know that sometimes people can just be addicted to maybe hate or, so they get drugs by hating, or, and so I don't know. I don't know if that makes it easier,
Yeah,
if you actually have something physical or if it can be harder when it's in your mind, or the drug your body makes,
Absolutely.
Yep. I remember the moment I was lying on my air mattress. It was the first mattress I had since I was homeless. But I was lying on the air mattress, and I felt for the first time after starting to do this work, I felt my addiction to self-loathing. Self-loathing, loathing myself.
Yeah.
And I felt
Yeah.
the chemicals of that addiction go into my bloodstream and activate. I said, holy shit, I'm addicted to hating myself.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It blew my mind. I used to have a thing about my sister. Poor me, my sister's beautiful, right? That kind of bullshit. And I would be having a perfectly beautiful day, and then I'd unconsciously but intentionally activate the thought about my fabulous sister and my shitty, awful self to get that feeling going. And when I had the realization, it was like, oh my God, you don't need heroin, you don't need ice. You can just use your own biochemistry to give you that familiar marinated feeling. You're marinating in your own soup of chemicals that are familiar. They're shit, but they're familiar.
Yeah, it could be self-loathing, it could be pity, feeling sorry for yourself, unlovable,
victimhood.
Victimhood, yeah.
And could this be the ego's way of getting you where it wants to keep you down too? I mean, it could be your ego, right?
Well,
it
it
could be what? Sorry, I didn't hear that last bit. It could be your ego, or it could be your
ego's trying to, like, let's say, some people have an inflated ego, but if your ego's down, your ego likes to deflate you, then it would like the opportunities to bring you down.
Yeah, it's to revalidate the stories. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. Well, we're gonna end it there. Thanks, Elaine. Thanks, Megan.
See you next week.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you so much for joining, and thanks for playing along for our spontaneous Cinesomatic session.
Thank you.
See you next time.
You.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.